Shocking note from Billionaire. Black waiter speaks German and changes everything at midnight. Midnight strikes, and an eerie silence blankets the luxury high-rise where cool marble meets the restless ocean waves below. The opulence conceals secrets that hum like electricity in the air. Tonight, the city feels different, alive, almost vibrating with tension. Gathered around the gleaming bar are the elite, sipping expensive drinks, laughing as if they own the night. But underneath that laughter lies a truth waiting to erupt, a revelation that will send shockwaves through their golden world. A note slips through the crowd. One whisper, barely audible against the clattering of glasses. It's from a billionaire, a name that stops hearts and opens wallets. This changes everything. The crowd stills. Eyes widen. The words linger, heavy with promise and peril. But it's what happens next that throws everyone off their game. The black waiter steps forward, his voice ringing clear, speaking perfect German. Laughter fades. The crowd exchanges glances, skepticism and intrigue dancing on their faces. Who is this man? And why does he speak like a ghost from a distant past? Facial expressions shift from disbelief to sheer shock. It's the strangest thing, like watching a bird take flight after years of being caged. He moves like he knows secrets. His eyes glint with mischief, a hint of danger simmering below the surface. A tall blonde socialite leans in, her eyebrows knitting together. What? Who does he think he is? But it's not judgment she shows, it's fear. The unknown is always frightening to us. He paces the floor. The whispers grow louder. Someone mentions a hidden history, a story about a lost fortune and a family torn apart. Tension seeps into the atmosphere, stretching tighter and tighter. What link could this waiter have to the billionaire? Is he a key to a locked door? The thought sends shivers down spines. The waiter holds up the note, revealing something strange written in elegant, flowing script. A riddle? Or perhaps a dare? The crowd leans in, hearts racing, breath held captive. What could it mean? The billionaire's mouth twitches uncertainly, a fleeting sign of worry. The room feels electric, charged with potential, as if they are all on the cusp of a storm. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. And then, as if the universe had designed this moment just for them, the sky outside cracks with far-off thunder. Light flickers, illuminating the waiter's figure. His confidence remains, but there's something else in his eyes. Determination? Revenge? It looms, hanging thick in the air. The crowd is entranced. It's as if time has momentarily stopped. What happens next could change everything, or destroy them all. The question looms. What is contained in this note? What secrets will unravel this night? With bated breath and quickened pulses, they await the answer. The waiting is unbearable. Whispers ripple through the crowd like whispers across an open field. Gilded glasses clink nervously against polished surfaces. The waiter stands before them, a storm contained in a single figure. He unfolds the note, revealing a riddle written in curl after curl of elegant script. Find the key that binds the past, where shadows dance and echoes last. The words hang in the air, buzzing with potential. Gasps, incredulous and uncertain, erupt around the bar. What key? What past? It feels as if the air itself has thickened. Each breath is tasting of something sharp, bitter anticipation. The billionaire's eyes flutter with tension. He is not the only one feeling it. An alarmed hush falls over the group. They are trapped in a moment that feels curiously monumental, as questions grasp at their throats like a vice. Who is this waiter? What does he know that they don't? Suddenly, a laugh cuts through the tension. It's the blonde socialite, nervously trying to mask her fear with bravado. Are you kidding? It's just some guy playing a game. But her wide eyes betray her, flicking nervously between the waiter and her drink. The laughter from earlier feels like a ghost now, haunting their moments. Ignoring the skepticism, the waiter holds their gaze, his expression unwavering. Tonight isn't merely about the wealthy reveling in excess. It's about truths buried deep, buried alive in lavishness. Let the past come to light. The way he articulates that final statement sends a chill down the spine of everyone in the room. And then it happens. A strange commotion erupts at the entrance. A figure in a tailored suit strides in, commanding attention effortlessly. The newcomer is a man of undeniable presence, and a whisper runs through the crowd once again. That's Adam Marino. Someone breathes. The name carries weight, the kind you feel pressing down on you in the heat of embarrassment, expectations, and privilege. Adam's eyes flicker, assessing the situation with sharp interest. He raises a brow, assessing the scene. Am I late to the party? I see there's a show unfolding. Unexpectedly calm, he glides closer, locking his gaze on the waiter. The tension shifts. All eyes turn. The room becomes a stage players in a grand drama. The waiter stands his ground, unflinching. You're right on time, he replies coolly, his voice ringing through the dimly lit space. The party is about to get very interesting, Adam. A tremor runs through the crowd. The energy is electric, saturated with uncertainty and a creeping sense of dread. Adam smirks, a predatory gleam in his eyes. Interesting is one way to put it. But tell me, why should I? Because it's your past we're discussing, isn't it? The words are delivered with deliberate intensity, striking at the heart of a simmering mystery. Gasps erupt. The elite lean forward, painted expressions of shock and fascination lighting their sophisticated faces. What could this waiter possibly know? How deep does the conspiracy run? What the hell does he mean by that? A voice trembling, uncertain melts through the air. The waiter doesn't respond, but a flicker of satisfaction plays at the corners of his mouth. And then, as if to punctuate the moment, an exploding flash of lightning illuminates the room, a blinding sear against the darkness. The lights flicker once more, and a low rumble of thunder sounds like a warning. Adam's expression shifts. Something primal stirs within him. We're not playing games here, are we? He asks, the malice hidden beneath his tone sending a shiver through the crowd. The stakes have risen, and the shadows lengthen ominously. The atmosphere is ripe, crackling with a furious intensity. How far are they willing to go to unravel the secrets of the past? As the tension swells, the waiter steps forward, eyes aflame with intent. Are you ready to confront what has been hidden? The question reverberates, hanging overhead like a storm cloud. The truth awaits. What will it unleash? And just like that, the secrets linger like a knife waiting to drop without warning. One sudden scream pierces through the air, causing everyone to whirl around in panic. What just happened? A body falls against the polished floor with a thud, echoing like cannon fire in the stunned silence. It's the blonde socialite, her champagne glass shattering on impact, shards of glass transforming into deadly confetti around her. Her previously bright laughter now hangs heavy in the air, replaced by a quickening dread as she lies sprawled, eyes wide open, staring into the unknown. Chaos erupts. Shrieks of panic pierce the stillness like shards of ice against exposed skin. The banquet hall transforms into a battleground of confusion, gold-embroidered gowns and tuxedos breaking apart in the fray. Trembling hands grasp for support as guests scramble, desperate to distance themselves from the unpredictable terror unfolding. The waiter remains anchored, still and enigmatic. His gaze shifts from the fallen woman to Adam, who is now rooted to the spot, his smirk erased, replaced with disbelief and a stark contrast of emotions. The fear marring the billionaire's previously polished exterior is palpable. A crack appears in his carefully constructed facade. Call an ambulance. Someone screams, but what rises within the cacophony is a more profound concern. Is she dead? The crowd's collective breath halts, held tight in throats that constrict with horror. Seems we have a real game changer. The waiter finally breaks his silence, his voice a low rumble that resonates with the certainty of dread. He steps aside, allowing the chaos to tangle around him like filigree, yet holding on to something far worse, an undercurrent of inevitability. Adam narrows his eyes, the predatory gleam morphing into something darker. What have you done? What is happening here? His question breaks through the noise, desperate and edged with a primal fury. Ignoring him, the waiter moves like fluid night through the crowd, his fingers tracing a path against surfaces leaving unease in his wake. All the answers lie buried beneath layers of opulence and deceit. Tonight, the past resurfaces for all to witness, and it won't be pretty. He delivers the last word like a death knell, each syllable laden with significance as he points toward Adam. The billionaire's composure fractures further. He believes the paranoia creeping into his thoughts. Had he made enemies? Were his past misdeeds now colliding with the present in a catastrophic dance? Cries erupt again, choked gasps of terror, especially from those nearest to the fallen woman, her lifeless form surrounded by alarmed guests who peer as if witnessing the morbid tableau for the first time. The frantic search for outlets leads to electrifying confusion. Fingers point, accusations fly, and it's unclear which is more visceral, their fear or their guilt. Whispers spread, twisting through the air like sinister smoke. Who asked the waiter? What does he know? Could he have pushed her? The crowd divides into factions of suspicion, eyes darting suspiciously, bewildered glances darting toward the waiter who is seemingly in control of this twisted party. Listen, he calls out, voice cutting through the haze like a blade. Your fear is a reflection of the sins you harbor. Each person here, touching this crime scene, has a piece of the puzzle. You were drawn here for a reason. It's time to face that truth. A drop of rain lands on the window and splatters, breaking the momentary tension hanging heavy in the air. Then another hit, more furious, and the storm outside matches the tempest unfolding within. And suddenly, a light blinks out. In an instant, the room plunges into darkness. Screams arise, sharp and overlapping, as panicked bodies collide in suffocating uncertainty. When the lights flicker back on, the waiter is gone. Where is he? Adam roars, fury radiating from him, weaving through the crowd like a live wire. I don't know. A voice stammers, panic-stricken and bewildered. The atmosphere is thick, pulsating with fear and resentment. Outside, thunder rumbles ominously, mingling with the heartbeat of the crowd, strumming an unnerving chord. Secrets dangerous, life-altering, and entwined are threatening to cut deep. And just as the tension reaches its peak, another scream, this one softer but saturated with horror, rings out. He is back. Someone yells, pointing toward the exit where the waiter stands, a shadow against the storm. What new truths will he unveil? The shadow of the waiter looms larger as he steps back into view, soaking wet and glistening under the flickering chandeliers. His face is obscured in half-light, but the cold air carries an unsettling confidence that seems to electrify the room. Adam's pulse quickens. What do you want? His voice, edged and angry, ricochets off the walls. The crowd shrinks back, drawn into a collective silence, anticipation hanging thick and suffocating. Truth has a way of revealing itself, whether you're ready or not. The waiter replies, his voice chillingly calm, a stark contrast to the pandemonium that envelopes them. He steps forward, boldly, each movement deliberate, calculated like a predator weaving its path through a herd of terrified prey. A sudden crack of thunder slams against the night, weaving urgency into the fabric of fear that tightens around the guests. They cling to their hopes, but dread whispers louder, clawing at the edges of their reason. Stop playing games. If you know what has happened, tell us. A tall man with slicked back hair shouts, his bravado breaking down into desperation. All in good time, the waiter responds, a twisted grin playing at his lips. You'll find the answer in the shadows of your past, and perhaps even in your own hearts. The crowd shifts uncomfortably, whispers threading through the tangled mass. What does he mean? What shadows? The questions hang heavy, unsaid fears manifesting in the unsettled energy in the air. Adam's eyes dart around, picking up the subtle nuances, the way people avoid each other's glances, how guilt hangs around them like a cloud. The waiter has touched on something profound, something buried deep. This is insane. Adam thundered. You think you can frighten us into submission? Just tell us what you know. Submission? The waiter chuckles darkly, each syllable dripping with sarcasm. You think this is about fear? No, Mr. Attenborough, this is about revelation. You're all connected, each one of you, by a thread you've tried so hard to snip. He raises a hand. The room holds its breath, the moment stretched to a breaking point. How many of you have secrets? How many of you carry guilt like a second skin? What if your tangled past was laid bare tonight? The crowd gasps, a wave of panic surging again. This isn't just about a woman dying, a life snuffed out in an instant. It's about a reckoning, a confrontation with their unspoken sins. Adam feels the ground shift beneath him as he realizes the gravity of the waiter's words. Questions swirl in his mind. Could his past be haunting him more than he thought? Could these socialites, his friends, his enemies, all harbor dark undercurrents, all connected in a web of hidden truths? Suddenly, a young woman steps forward. Her face is pale, trembling, yet fierce. "What are you saying about us?" she demands, voice trembling. "We didn't harm her. Didn't you?" The waiter pierces her with a glare that could turn stone to ice. Or perhaps she simply became a casualty of your unexamined lives. Gasps ripple through the crowd, their senses heightened. Adam's heart races, a sickening churn in his stomach. He scans the faces, searching for courage among the shifting expressions of betrayal and fear, every flicker of emotion now scrutinizing him. "Enough," he shouts, desperate to regain control. "You have no right to judge us." "But tonight, judgment will come," the waiter replies, his voice resonating with grim authority. "Choose wisely, for the second act is about to begin, and the truth will set you free or imprison you forever." As his words echo ominously in the air, the lights flicker once more, plunging them back into darkness. And this time, it remains unbroken. The silence in the dark room thickened, as if the very air had turned to lead. Fear gripped the guests, dropping jaws and widening eyes. But then came a sound, a low sob, breaking the stillness like glass. Evelyn, the young woman who had questioned the waiter, sank to her knees. "Please just don't do this." Her voice trembled, raw and exposed. The waiter's gaze remained steady, poised, and unyielding. "It's not in my hands, Evelyn. This night isn't about me," he replied, his tone low, almost reverent as he stepped closer. The light from the chandeliers cast complex shadows on the faces around him, transforming fear into something more treacherous: disgust, guilt, and perhaps regret. "Are you saying we deserve this?" a man protested, stepping forward defiantly, though his voice wavered. "No one deserves to have their past dragged out in front of strangers." "Ah, but when your past is a monster, perhaps you do," the waiter shot back, his eyes narrowing as he scanned the faces before him, inspecting the turmoil simmering just beneath the surface. "What if the worst of you emerged tonight? What if it all crashed down like a house of cards?" Fatigue and panic threaded through the crowd. "Enough," Adam shouted again, his voice filled with an urgency that felt desperate. "You think you can scare us into some twisted confession? This is a joke." "Joke? I assure you, my friend, this is far from amusing," the waiter said, a chilling smile creeping upon his lips. Then, with an exaggerated flourish, he produced an envelope from beneath his soaked jacket. "What I have here could shift the very foundation of your lives." He gestured to each face, lingering just a moment longer on those marked by fear: the tall man with slicked back hair, a woman biting her nails, a man clutching a champagne glass like a lifeline. "What is it?" someone murmured, the words falling softly into the heavy silence. "Letters. Connections," the waiter replied, his voice swirling like fog. "The truths you shunned and the sins you've buried. Each of your names is here. Each of your secrets." Adam's gut twisted at the implication, anxiety swirling into a fierce storm within him. "No," he breathed, a sense of dread unfurling inside him like a dark flower in the night. "You cannot," the waiter interrupted, his tone cold, yet almost musical. "You will find me curious, won't you? I'll tell you one thing: in this envelope lies both salvation and destruction. Which will it be? The truth may liberate you or condemn you." He moved through the crowd, pausing beside Evelyn, who still knelt, tears slick on her cheeks. "You, more than anyone, know the weight hidden in silence. But tonight, what will be the price of freedom?" Thunder rumbled ominously again. The lights flickered to life momentarily before dimming again, causing the room to dance in darkened shadows. Gasps echoed as hands reached out, some grabbing for anchors, others for allies. "Just tell us what you know," Evelyn cried, now on her feet, courage rekindling like a flame in a storm. The waiter's laughter rang, hollow and icy. "Patience, my dear. All in good time. But be warned, some truths are worse than lies." His eyes sparkled with mischief, and a flicker of something darker danced behind them. And just as quickly as the lights flickered, the night plunged into darkness once more, plunging every soul into a sea of unknowing. Let the second act begin, the waiter's whisper echoed as shadows drifted, leaving behind questions spiraling into the abyss, whispering of what truths would emerge next. What horrors lay in that envelope, waiting to drag them under? The thought lingered like smoke, choking the air with anticipation. The darkness pressed down, thick and suffocating, wrapping around the guests like a shroud. A lonely clock ticked in the background, its sound amplified in the eerie silence, each tick like a countdown to the unknown. Evelyn's breath quickened, her heart pounding against her ribcage. She glanced at Adam, who stood frozen, his eyes wide with fear. They were all trapped in this moment, caught in a web spun by the waiter's enigmatic words. "Think of what you hide," the waiter taunted, his voice smooth and serpentine, weaving through the gathered crowd. A single slip, a lost secret, can unravel decades of lies. Have you ever considered what would happen if the truth clawed its way to the surface? The tension was palpable, like static before a storm. Murmurs rose, uncertain and fragmented, hands shifting uneasily as people glanced at one another, searching for reassurance that didn't come. The waiter continued, his presence both magnetic and menacing, a puppeteer pulling strings they hadn't even realized were being manipulated. "Each name," he said, holding the envelope aloft, "is steeped in darkness. The weight of these truths could sink even the strongest among you. Are you ready to bear that burden?" A gasp escaped from the woman biting her nails. The sound cut through the gloom, igniting whispers as the group's anxiety shifted into a frenzy. Everyone seemed to share a collective dread, a brewing storm that no one wished to confront. "What's in that envelope?" shouted the tall man, his bravado faltering. "We won't let you turn us against each other." "Oh, but that's the beauty of it," the waiter responded with a smile that chilled the room. "I don't need to do anything. The connections you all share, those ties of friendship and rivalry, will do the work for me. You're the ones who will reveal your sins." A heavy silence settled in, and in that moment, a flicker of doubt wormed its way into their minds. They had all been acquaintances at best, hiding behind polite laughter, but tonight was different. They were raw and exposed. The waiter had peeled back the layers they had so carefully constructed around themselves. Evelyn stepped forward, fists clenched. "Do you really think we'd turn on one another? We've been friends for years." "Friends?" The waiter's laugh shattered the moment. "What an amusing idea. Tell me, how well do you really know one another?" He lowered his voice, conspiratorial. "Imagine if everyone's hidden truths were unveiled. The weight of mistrust would decimate your fragile bonds." Gasps slipped through the audience again, raw and unfiltered. Shadows flickered on the walls as a clash of thunder illuminated the room. It was as if the elements conspired with the waiter's sinister play. "Do you think this game is over?" he continued, voice rising above the rising chaos. "This is merely the beginning. Each of you has a choice, and that choice could set in motion a cascade of revelations that will change everything." The crushing dread coiled tighter around them. Adam looked around at his friends. Their faces, once familiar, had twisted into masks of fear and suspicion. As one of the chandeliers tipped slightly, a breath went out of the crowd, a collective intake of air like the last gasp before a plunge into cold water. "Let us see what happens," the waiter remarked, almost gleefully, as he tore open the envelope. The sound of paper shredding echoed ominously, a harbinger of the chaos about to be unleashed. A single piece of paper floated down from his hands, landing softly at Evelyn's feet. All eyes turned toward it, defiance replaced by the weight of inevitability. "What?" Adam breathed, barely able to form the words. The waiter's eyes danced with a knowing glint, his lips curling into a grin. "Ah, the moment of truth. Are you brave enough to know?" And with that, the air was thick with anticipation, the weight of every unspoken word hanging heavily in the balance. What once held them together was now a precarious thread, ready to snap. The question hummed in the air, a chilling foreboding. Who would break first? As the tension crackled, like electricity, the night was far from over. Evelyn felt the weight of everyone's gaze on her. That piece of paper, a mere slip of parchment, seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Each tick of the clock echoed like a heartbeat, growing louder, threatening to drown out her thoughts. "Pick it up," Adam urged, his voice barely a whisper. Fear tugged at his features as he strained to catch a glimpse of what lay on the floor. Evelyn's hand shook as she reached down, fingers brushing against the crisp edges. The moment she grasped it, an electric charge buzzed between her and the paper, a tension that felt both thrilling and terrifying. She could feel eyes boring into her, each one heavy with expectation. Would she dare to read the truth it held? Come on, Evelyn. Just read it, pleaded the woman with the biting nails, her face a storm of nerves and curiosity. Evelyn hesitated, fear slicking her palms. She pulled the paper close, scanning the hurried scrawl. The words blurred momentarily, a tangled mess of uncertainties. Could it really hold the keys to their hidden lives? But then again, what was life without risks? Gathering her courage, she began to read aloud, her voice trembling. To the one who hides behind a facade of friendship, your betrayal is no secret. Your lover lies in this very room, and your deceit could shatter the tight-knit circle you cherish. A collective intake of breath battered the air like a gust of icy wind. Gasps echoed through the group, a chorus of disbelief and shock. The dread coiled even tighter. Who is it? The tall man blurted, looking around frantically. Who could it possibly be? The waiter's eyes sparkled with delight. Ah, the first reveal. But who will stand up and claim their truth? Or will you cast the blame elsewhere? He chuckled, enjoying the frenzy unfurling before him. Evelyn's mind raced. Betrayal spilled like a dark ink stain across her thoughts. She glanced at Adam, who appeared pale. Was it true? Had he, or even she, crossed lines unspoken? No way, the woman with the nails shouted, panic flashing across her features. That can't be true. She turned her gaze to everyone, desperation in her tone. We're all friends. Who would I knew it? Hissed a voice from the corner, where an older gentleman stood with a brooding intensity. I saw how you two looked at each other when no one was watching enough. Evelyn snapped back, the fire in her voice surprising even herself. This is insane. We can't just go on accusing each other based on, what if the truth is freed? The waiter interjected, a predatory glint in his eyes. What if unearthing these hidden relationships leads to deeper scars than you imagine? As voices collided, a storm of accusations broke loose, frenzy spilling over like a boiling pot. Each person turned against one another, claws ready for the fray. Evelyn felt her stomach churn, caught in the crossfire of their bitter revelations. The room shifted, shadows dancing like phantoms on the walls as thunder roared again outside, mirroring the chaos within. Wait, Adam shouted over the cacophony. What if we don't confront this like animals? This could tear us apart, or it could set us free, the waiter crooned, his smile unwavering. But it's your choice, or rather, it was. The tension was a living thing, coiling tighter around each of them, threatening to snap. Evelyn's heart raced, caught between the urge to hide and the need to stand firm. She had never felt so alive, yet so utterly trapped. Just when it seemed that all trust had eroded, a scream shattered the air, slicing through the chaos like glass. No. The room froze. Evelyn and Adam exchanged frantic looks, breath hitching as silence fell like a crushing weight. Who had lost control? And was there yet more to uncover? The night hung still, thick with suspense. Evelyn's heart thundered in her chest. The scream echoed in her head, a haunting reminder of how the night had twisted into chaos. Time stretched, the stillness pulling taut, and for a brief, breathless moment, it felt as if the world outside had paused along with them. Who was that? Someone finally whispered, breaking the spell. It came from the other room. The tall man's eyes darted nervously toward the closed door, shadows looming as the candlelight flickered harder. Before anyone could react, the waiter began to move. Striding toward the door, he paused, casting a sly glance back at the gathered tension. Curiosity killed the cat, he said, a sinister smile curling his lips, but satisfaction brought it back. Shall we take a look? With that, he pushed the door open. The creak sounded like a final funeral bell, punctuating the chaos that had overtaken the gathering. Evelyn clutched the paper tighter, feeling its edges bite into her palm. Adam took a step closer, protective. We need to stay together, he urged, eyes flickering from the waiter to the door and back again. But curiosity clawed at everyone else. One by one, they shifted closer, drawn into an unseen force. They hesitated only slightly before the scent of tension urged them into action. Evelyn took a deep breath. We have to see, don't we? As if in agreement, they stepped through the doorway, a reluctant line of spectators drawn into the new atmosphere. The room was dim, shadows bouncing off the painted walls. A shape at the center drew their attention. Crumpled on the ornate rug was a woman, her face obscured by her hands, her sobs trembling through the air like fragile glass. The tension thickened again. Who is she? Someone gasped from the back. Lily, Evelyn whispered, recognition hitting her heart. The soft-spoken friend who had always kept to herself, hiding under layers of kind words and upbeat laughter. Little did they know, beneath that facade lay a tumult of turmoil. Get back! The waiter barked, swept away by a sudden urgency. He was no longer the mere observer, but caught in the undercurrent of fear that seemed to ripple through the room. She needs space. Evelyn fought to stay composed. Lily, what happened? Slowly, the woman looked up, tear-streaked and shocked, confusion swarming her features. He's gone. I tried to talk to him, but he was already her words tangled into sobs, nearly drowned by the rising tension in the room. What do you mean gone? Adam asked, stepping closer, his voice steady but filled with concern. He was bleeding, there was so much blood. The air became ice, panic settling over them like a shroud. Evelyn's breath quickened. Who? What happened, Lily? But the words barely formed, trembling at the edge of her lips. We have to call for help. Someone shouted. Did anyone hear anything? The older gentleman interjected, his dark eyes glinting with suspicion. How could we not know? They were arguing. Lily's voice grew frantic, her breath hitching with every word. I couldn't save him. I didn't see it coming. Evelyn felt the panic pierce through her, chilling her to the bone. An argument? Blood? Suddenly, clarity struck. This wasn't just a game anymore. The whispers of betrayal had twisted into a far darker narrative, and every hidden detail was entangled in a web that threatened to ensnare them all. Where is he? The tall man pressed. You must know. Before Lily could answer, the sound of a door creaking pulled them back, an ominous sound slithering through the tension. As they turned, the waiter was standing just beyond the threshold, his expression darkening. You should all be careful. Some truths are better left buried. Evelyn's heart pounded. The night carried secrets that could shatter them, enveloping everything in shadows. What lay beyond the surface of their friendships? And as the storm echoed once more, threatening to pull them under, she knew this was just the beginning. The echo of the waiter's warning hung heavily in the air, casting an even darker shadow over the already tense room. Evelyn's instincts flared, and she shifted, scanning the faces around her. They were a mix of shock, concern, and something else, a flicker of fear that hung like a shroud over everyone. Lily, please, Adam urged, stepping toward her. You need to tell us everything. Who was arguing? Who's gone? Suddenly, Lily's sobs quieted, and she locked eyes with Evelyn. There was desperation in her gaze, as if she were the only one capable of untangling this mess. It was Mark, she said, breathing raggedly. He was arguing with someone, but I couldn't see who. Mark? The word slipped from Evelyn's lips involuntarily. Not Mark, not the life of the party, the one with the infectious laugh and the broad smile. What happened to him? Is he hurt? Before Lily could respond, the older gentleman took a step forward, a sense of urgency flooding through him. He had been quiet until now, but his presence felt impossible to ignore. Lily, if he's in trouble, we need to find him. We can't sit here and do nothing. I don't know if he's in trouble. She snapped back, her voice climbing higher. I just saw blood. The words struck like lightning, igniting chaos. Whispers erupted throughout the group, each voice unsure, paramount with anxiety. We need to search the house, someone suggested, a flicker of determination breaking through their paralysis. No, stay here, the waiter commanded, stepping further into the room. The candlelight danced off his face, throwing flickers of his true intentions into doubt. You don't know what you're dealing with. Evelyn took a step closer, driven by a mixture of fear and resolve. What do you mean? This is someone's life we're talking about. Sometimes the truth or the search for it brings nothing but disaster, he replied cryptically, his tone sending a chill down Evelyn's spine. There are things better left uncovered. Like what? Adam demanded, but the waiter merely shook his head, his smirk fading into seriousness. Suddenly, all eyes turned towards the door they had just entered. A loud thud reverberated from behind it, followed by a guttural noise that made Evelyn gasp. It sounded like struggling, like someone caught in a desperate fight. "Oh God," Lily moaned, her face turning pale. "What if it's him? We have to see," Evelyn urged, trembling but resolved. She stepped towards the door, adrenaline surging through her veins. The others hesitated, torn between fear and the instinct to protect. "Wait." The waiter jumped forward even as she reached for the doorknob. "You don't understand. If it is him, you need to be ready for what you find." Evelyn's heart raced. What was happening in that other room? What had gone so horribly wrong? "Let me handle this," the waiter insisted, his eyes darkening with a simmering intensity. "If it's him, if you walk through that door, there's no going back." But it was too late. The line of people had already gathered at the threshold, morbid curiosity compelling them forward. Evelyn's breath hitched in her throat when Adam took her hand. "We can't back down now." As they pushed the door open, a scene unfolded before them, heart-stopping and surreal. Mark was on the floor, blood pooling beneath him. But it wasn't just blood, there was something else, something dark glistening in the candlelight. The room burst into chaos, voices mingling with their gasps and cries. But among the tumult, one voice broke through, cold and dispassionate. "Welcome to the truth." Evelyn turned to see the waiter standing just behind them, his expression unyielding, a shadow of secrets dancing across his face. "What do you know?" she shouted, heart hammering wildly. And as he began to speak, the darkness around them deepened, veiling the truth in layers they were unprepared to confront. What revelations lay ahead, intertwined with their fates? The night was still far from over. The chaos that erupted in the room felt like a whirlwind. The guests stumbled back, horror etched on their faces as Mark lay on the ornate carpet in a pool of crimson. The scene was grim, heartbreaking. This was no longer just a tangle of lies and secrets. It was a crime scene, and the stakes had turned deadly. Evelyn's heart raced. She felt bile rise in her throat as her eyes searched Mark's face. It was pale, almost ghostly, and his once bright smile was extinguished. She couldn't comprehend how their night had plummeted into this tragedy. "Call an ambulance," someone shouted, backed by a volley of panicked voices. But amidst the frenzy, the waiter simply stood there, arms crossed, watching them like a hawk, his calm demeanor unnerving in stark contrast to the chaos around him. "Get back," he barked. "We need to contain this." If more people get involved, he trailed off, a storm brewing behind his eyes as he surveyed the group. "You don't want to make this worse." "What do you mean worse?" Adam snapped, stepping forward protectively, his eyes wild with horror and anger. "We need to help him." "Help comes with consequences," the waiter replied, his voice low and sharp like a knife. "You think you're all innocent? Look into your hearts. You know more than you're letting on." The crowd stilled, their collective gaze flicking to one another, guilt weaving through the air like a suffocating blanket. Tension rolled like waves, confusion resting heavy in each heartbeat. Evelyn felt heavy dread press against her chest. The accusations had felt like shadows before, but now each lingering glance at Mark felt like a confession, a denial amplifying the silence. "Stop this," Evelyn shouted, bravely pushing through the crowd. She reached Mark, dropping to her knees, fingers trembling as they brushed against his blood-stained shirt. "Mark, please, don't leave us." The waiter's eyes sparkled with something anticipation, perhaps? "You can't run from truths, Evelyn. Death uncovers all lies, deeper than anything alive ever could." At that moment, the thunder outside seemed to crack even louder, shaking the very foundation of the building, rooting everyone present to the floor. "Who did this?" Evelyn demanded, tears blurring her vision as she continued to apply pressure to the wound, her heart racing. "What happened?" "Lily, you were with him." "I don't know." Lily sobbed, shaking as she crouched behind a nearby chair. "We were arguing. He was upset. I never thought it would go this far." "Exactly. You all didn't think, did you?" The waiter stepped forward, heat radiating off his words like fire. "You all played your roles in this environment, a perfect breeding ground for shadows to fester. Now look where it's led you." "Shut up," Adam shouted, turning back to the waiter, his fists clenched tight. "You think you're above all this? You're just as complicit." The accusation hung heavy, Yet the waiter's smirk remained, taunting in the darkness amidst the howling wind. Everything felt like a looming storm ready to swallow them, and Evelyn surged forward, her voice cracking. "Tell us what to do then. How do we fix this?" The waiter paused, and for a moment, his gaze softened before securing its usual mask of indifference. "Fixing it starts with honesty," he replied, voice low but clear. "Every secret you hold has played a part in this tragedy. You must confront them. Only then does healing begin." "What the hell does that mean?" A voice shouted from the back. "We're not responsible for Mark's death." "Oh, but you are." The waiter's tone was chilling. "You've all skirted around truths, brushed them under the rug. And in that silence, in that denial, you've buried each other deeper and deeper. Even in life with secrets, tonight, it profits only in death." His eyes burned into each of them a direct challenge. "Who among you shall seek the truth?" Evelyn felt the blood rush to her cheeks. Shame clawed at her insides, unraveling the strength she thought she held. In the face of such stark accusation, fear etched itself anew. She exchanged glances with Adam, Lily, the older gentleman, and the others. Unyielding uncertainty shifted, and one by one, eyes fell away. "Enough of this." Adam snapped, his voice now steely. "We can't let fear overshadow our humanity. We must act. Nobody wants to see Mark die here tonight. Do you understand what this really means?" The waiter interrupted, the darkness creeping back into his voice. "Until you face what lurks within your hearts, this tragedy doesn't end. It only amplifies." The room smelled of blood and fear, and even in the chaos, a lasting truth seeped through every whispered conversation. One by one, they were standing on the edge of confession, realizing the connection, the truth that danced precariously just below the surface. "Okay, I'll go first," Evelyn shouted, trembling. "What I've hidden, what I've let drive me into darkness," as she began to tell the truth about her failures, regrets, and betrayals. Each revelation broke the tether of denial holding them together. Others followed suit, voices trembling but growing stronger as shattered facades dropped, laying bare the roots of their fears. By reconciling their suppressed sins, they gained strength, releasing the grip of the waiter's suffocating hold. "Tears and confessions break chains," he remarked, a hint of surprise flickering across his face. Each shared truth pulled Mark's breath back toward them, a pull towards life rather than death. They formed an unexpected alliance through grief and fear, working to mend what was torn. As the storm raged outside, illuminating the darkness in sync with their rising voices, the fabric of their lives began to mend. With every pulse of truth, they felt the weight of their collective past lift, unearthing the need for healing. And in that moment, so fragile yet so powerful, the atmosphere shifted. They would face whatever dark truth had brought them here together, and the shadows could not sway them anymore. In the distance, the thundering storm began to fade. "Let us fight for life," Evelyn proclaimed, determination flooding from within. As the night drew deeper, they took one final breath, their hearts synchronized, ready to face not just their pasts, but also the uncertain dawn that awaited them, knowing that their reckoning was only beginning. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next exclusive stories firsthand. Smash that like button now and help us feed the algorithm. We appreciate every single click. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about how this all went down. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. It's time to spread the word. Thank you for supporting the channel.